Yeah, I've been wanting to post this for a while. It's a topic that keeps coming up in many different circles, and I had some time to do this now, so I figured this is going to hopefully answer a lot of questions. Something near and dear to all of us is sleep. This is actually a part of a lecture I did for the occupational therapy class and the Skills 2 class. And I'm an occupational therapist, and this was addressed for occupational therapy students. However, it affects all of us. It's something we all share in common here too. So it's really sleep and health. So let's get going here. Sleep is, it's something in our domain practice. Again, I'm an OT, and we talk about this, but do we really address this? I know I did not address this too much as an occupational therapist. I got interested in it many years ago when I was running the incontinence program, the Freedom of Incontinence program in Genesis. And my clients that were coming in there were so happy and almost brighter at the end of the treatment session. And I thought, well, they were happier because, they're not having incontinence problems. And we had like a 87% success rate. But then I started looking at the discharging and all the documentation we had. And I realized that these people had been getting up 5 to 7 times a night, and now they're getting up 2 or 3 times a night. And even that's not good, but still, they were getting sleep. And I think that changed how they were feeling so much that it dawned on me that this is really an issue of life and basically how one feels. So anyway, there is information about the occupational therapy professionals on sleep here too. But again, this is something for everybody, not just OTs. And I won't really be getting into this type of stuff. This is the REM sleep, circadian rhythm, and that's I can leave that for the other sleep experts and quantifying the types of sleep here too. But circadian rhythm. Remember, circadia just means around, and diem the day, how we circle through the day and night here too. And really, we spend so much of our time asleep. We need to start addressing this as like any other occupation. And I do call this an occupation because um, it's those jobs of life. We all have so many occupations, and basically the sleeping is should be as important, if not the most important occupation we have. I've heard it called the prime ADL. I'll call this the prime occupation because if you don't sleep well, your whole world kind of falls apart then too. So I simply think we need to start looking at sleep as the respect it gets, I should say. And if you really want to start on this here too, there's a great book by Huffington, The Sleep Revolution. I'd certainly recommend that one as well because that's a very good starter book on non-technical and how our views are changing of sleep as well. So anyway, REM sleep is so important. In fact, it's even classified as a torture. I think the Russians were doing it back in World War II, whatever here too, sleep depriving people here too. But it's a paradoxal. High levels of arousal, but you're still quite asleep here too. And there are studies on rats here, basically how detrimental it is for their life if they don't sleep well. And if we look at the benefits, healing, immune, toxins clearing from the brain, memories transition. It's really more than just the cognitive things even here too. Immune systems, how we process calories. It's so pervasive in how it basically it improves us. If we take another look here too, it's now been linked to obesity. If you don't sleep much, you change the way your body shape is. Much more fall, diabetes type 2. In fact, now they're finding melatonin receptors on the pancreas as well. So there's links to this as well. Melatonin is a powerful antioxidant, so some cancers have been linked now to lack of sleep and a lot of cardiovascular diseases. CVA, or another way of saying stroke. Basically, if you get less hours of sleep, you're 4 times the risk. And sleep apnea. Actually, one of my clients back in the hospital I worked with on rehab, she was 27 years old and she had a stroke only because of her sleep apnea here too. So HTN is actually high blood pressure. Sorry for the typo there here too. And mental health. Many studies linking decreasing sleep to increasing problems. So sleep and viral immunity. If you sleep good, your immune system is better. You don't get near as much a cold. And by the way, I've tried to include the evidence on all my slides here. I try to put them on here too, so I would certainly encourage you to go look at the evidence here too. And I've tried to keep pretty high level evidence. It's hardly getting the best evidence, 5 out of 5 basically of evidence on humans on here too. Not everything can be a double blind study, but again, I've tried to keep my resources quite good. And in fact, at the very end of this presentation, you're going to find a few pages of other references to my research I've used here too. So um, here, this is the chart basically saying, your whole body's right there. If you want to decrease sleep, well, your whole body's at risk. It's not just you're having a bad day next day. Um, your whole body is falling apart in time. So if we look at drowsy driving, this is an interesting one because this is kind of like damn if you do and damn if you don't. Here's a likelihood of driving by age. And, yes, teenagers are staying up late, whatever here too, but we still see 19% of the population 65 and older driving drowsy. But if you look in the bottom here too, Ambien, all those sleep aids here too, now are saying that will double the risk of some car crash. And so we're seeing a lot of individuals who are treating the symptoms of sleeping by using medication instead of actually treating the causes of why not sleeping as well. So basically, yes, if you're driving drowsy, you're at high likelihood of an accident. If you're driving under the influence of one of these sleep aids, well, you're also at risk then too. Um, this study talks about it's about like driving drunk. Even after the effects should have worn off then too. So I'll talk about these medications a little bit later as well. So this is actually sleep at night. If we look at 1957 or so here on the chart here too, we were getting as a society like 8.5 hours of sleep, and now this only stops at 2000, this chart here too. But I'm sure if we continue that, we're going to see less and less sleep. You know who you are out there. And we can see why we're not getting sleep here too. There's so much going on, it seems like, and we have to live, whatever, I don't know, but we're just getting less sleep. If we look here, again, this is another graph of 1942. 3% of us were getting 5 hours or less, and now we're up to 14 in 2013. This is not quite up to date here too, but average night of sleep 7.9 to 6.8. So yeah, we're seeing trends here. And if you look at the trends here, less sleep equals harder task right here. Concentrating, remembering, working on hobby, driving, taking care of financial affairs, or working, vocational, all these things basically, things perceived as harder if you get less sleep. And you know this, if you have a great night's sleep, how good things are and how easy some things are, and basically not getting to sleep, how hard things are here too. Now, this is an inverse relationship. I know correlation does not cause causation. Down here, we're looking at basically diabetes. This is the trend in our society. Decreasing sleep, increasing diabetes, increasing obesity. Now, I know with so many things going on in this world, does not causation, but this is where, correlation is not causation, but this is where many researchers started here too. So yeah, we are actually seeing a lot of epidemics proportions when it comes to diabetes, and that's our diet too, and lack of exercise, but also think about the effect of sleep as well. So what trends you're seeing in our society with sleep and these trends matching other trends? Well, this is how we start. And melatonin, I'll be talking about a lot about that because melatonin is that sleep hormone. It's a very powerful hormone, and many things we can do can affect our levels of melatonin. Basically, if you want to put on more weight for the same amount of calories, don't sleep well. Women here, I'll just read the highlights here. In another study, women who slept less than 6 hours a night or more than 9 hours a night were more likely to gain 11 pounds compared to women who slept 7 hours a night. When you're sleep deprived, the mitochondria, this is the things that make the ATP in our cells, they start to shut down. Sugar remains in your blood, and problems here too. So yes, too much, too little, too fat. Sorry. In case you missed the points here, I don't care how good your treatment plan is, how good your daily planners are, if you're an experienced therapist or not. This is written for occupational therapy students who are going to become professionals here too. But if your clients or you are not getting the sleep, you are certainly not participating and performing at your best. And yes, occupational performance, participation. You all know how good things, like I said, when you wake up and things are great, wow, we had a great night's sleep, how easy things are, and just the inverse is when you don't sleep very well. So, what can we do? Well, yes, sleep is addressed as an ADL, or activity of daily living, or an occupation. And again, task analysis, what's preventing us from having sleep, referral, and things we can change, environmental modifications, or our habits. People also use drugs as a common treatment. However, this is a great risk, and I will talk about some of the risks further on here too. And remember, treat the problems, don't just treat the symptoms. Okay, so environmental assessments, workplace evaluations, a lot of OTs work in workplaces here, hospitals, nursing homes, and factories. But we also do home evaluations. And this is something I think that we all can do a lot better at when it comes to looking at what we are at home here too. I did a lot of home evaluations as an occupational therapist, and we would always look at mobility things, getting in the bathtub, up and down the steps, and all these type of things around the home here too. But what we probably should be looking, I should be looking more at also, would be the light levels, the light spectrums, and actually how much light and the quality of light here too. Because here's the thing, lights have changed just in the last 20 or 30 years. And I know Edison came along, came up with the light bulb here too, but even that was more incandescent, closer related to firelight here too. But for thousands of years, if not hundreds of thousands of years, we've had sunlight, we've had moonlight, and a few thousand years ago we had firelight. And that's kind of the lights we have had. However, things have changed. Okay? And interesting enough, too much light at night has always been suspect. In fact, a lunatic or a lunatic asylum was the belief that you had too much of the light of the moon shining on you at night. The lunar surface and lunatic, that's where the word comes from here too. So, and it's true today because here in the bottom here, sleep and light are so linked that in fact in 2007, the WHO, World Health Organization, declared shift work to be a probable carcinogen. Okay, so lunatic, lunar surface there too. Too much light at night. Light is something we've got a lot of interest in lately here too, because now we're finding that light at night can change your melatonin levels here too, how much light we see. And again, the lights have changed. It's not just firelight anymore. Now we have LEDs, compact fluorescent bulbs, and a lot of these things have blue wavelengths. And I'll talk about the blue wavelengths in lights here too, but the tablets and phones and Kelvin rating, I should say, all those things are actually default of a temperature of color, and usually those temperatures of higher Kelvin have more of a blue wavelength. And Kelvin is a measurement of light or temperature of color here too. In fact, if you think about what happens in the morning, you get up, you see the bright blue sky and the sun's out, and you think, wow. And your eyes also, the ganglion cells in your eyes respond to this basically. They see the blue light and the sun and the sky and all that, and they say, okay, it's morning time, shut things down, we're going to wake up. You stop the production of melatonin, and that's perfectly fine. Unfortunately, now we're doing the same thing to ourselves at night. In fact, in 1989 here, blue light was shown to influence the production of the hormone melatonin. And it does not take too much light, 6 and 17 lux. Now I should have brought my light meter here too, but I have a light meter that I would encourage all occupational therapists to take with you on your home evaluations then too, so you can see exactly how much light that people need to function, but also take a look at the quality of light as well. Like I say, we've had hundreds of thousand years of this natural light, and now in just the last few decades, we're having all these unique bulbs coming up here too, and actually giving us a lot of light at night. Okay, this all started from this lady. This was I have permission to use these slides here too. This lady had macular degeneration. And a couple of my students were working with this lady. She really was trying to survive at home. I got to know her because she was baking a cake, and instead of pushing bake, she hit broil, and next thing you know, the whole thing was smoking pretty good. And so I put some magnify things on the stove for her. But anyway, a couple of my students wanted to help her out as an assignment too. And this is what she had. She was trying to get a lot more white lights in here. You look at the keyboard, it's white on white, and she was having a real hard time functioning. She had some closed circuit TV and some Zoom text, and she actually had done some pretty good work of changing the font on her screen. But we went over there and changed the light in her office. Now, this was just an experiment because I took a red light over and she couldn't see anything. I was thinking maybe the rods might pick up more, but we put in blue light and it was just like, oh my God, I can see. And I could not figure out what had happened. And I started talking to a few physicians about this. And sure enough, well, blue light has a lot more energy. Okay, and sometimes we have these, in our eyes, we have our rods and the cones are very color sensitive. And sometimes when one cone doesn't work near as well as other, well, if you actually put a lot of that wavelength of light of a cone that still functions, in this case, blue, she could perceive. And it was just like she described it like a being a veil lifting up and she could see things. And I was just kind of curious about that. And so I started looking into blue light research and I kept finding all these references on lux level and light and melatonin. So this is what it kind of led to. This is actually a box. And down here, and all lights have this, okay? All light bulbs have this. You have the warm and cool. The warm is usually the lower Kelvin. The 3000K stands for 3000 Kelvin. And of course, it can go all the way up to 6500 Kelvin for daylight, whatever you're to. But try to be cognizant of what all the lights say because it can really interfere with your sleep and your health. In fact, this is what Kelvin is in lights. If you think it down, look down here in the candles. Okay, that's the candles and fires, what we've had for thousands of years. That's always these low Kelvin numbers, or the warm ones, or the firelight type of thing here too. But now, 6500 Kelvin is the standard for an ordinary PC or laptop or phone. That's equivalent to staring at the really bright sunny sky. So basically, if you're looking at your phone at night or you have a high Kelvin light at night, you're telling your brain, it's morning, time to wake up, not time to go to sleep. So sometimes the lights we have interfere here too. 400,000 years or so of only sunlight and firelight, and now we have things changed. Interesting enough, Edison and Swan, who patented the light bulb, the incandescent light bulb, we know it, did not value sleep. They thought sleep was just a waste of productivity. Unfortunately, now we know if you want to be more productive, get more sleep. So that's Kelvin. Now, serotonin and melatonin, those are kind of a yin-yang thing. There are two hormones we have, and they're both very important to our system, like most hormones are. Things that boost serotonin, sunlight, massage, exercising, remembering happy events, all those type of things are the feel-good type of stuff. Wake you up, feel good. Melatonin, darkness, and some foods actually will raise your melatonin levels here as well. Those are the things that kind of put you down to sleep, the yin and yang. Interesting enough, though, this is why getting out and walking in the sunlight can help you sleep, because a precursor to melatonin is serotonin, which means serotonin helps to make melatonin. So yes, if you get outside and get some sunshine, some exercise, it will help you sleep better because you're building up some serotonin. Melatonin, that's that hormone I talked about that really sort of helps put you asleep then too. So we make it ourselves here too. Melatonin is, besides a sleeping hormone, anti-cancer effects, may reduce bone loss. Melatonin assists in the release of human growth hormone. Antioxidant vitamin, a link to low melatonin syndrome and depression. Melatonin activates monocytes, so basically it helps your immune system. And it's actually also used as a therapeutic agent in Alzheimer's disease trials here too. Interesting enough, melatonin you can buy right off the shelf here, but it's restricted medicine in most of the world, so travel wisely. I have in Canada, Finland, Great Britain, and most other European countries, melatonin is classified as a medicine and only available with a prescription. It's controlled medicine, so if you're traveling to these places and you have your melatonin, well, you're traveling illegally here too. We produce it naturally in our pineal gland. However, it's reduced by aging. That's why lights can really affect a child sleeping much more than it can an adult because they make so much more melatonin. So if your child is watching TV right till 10 o'clock or whatever, and you realize they can't get to sleep, well, because they all this light's interfering with the melatonin, production that should be ramping up as the day starts, dimming down here too. And I know melatonin is a drug many of you use, but think about this a second. A 3, 5, or 10 milligram dose, which is common dosage I see, may be hundreds or even thousands of times greater than your body has ever experienced. Okay? Think about that for a second. Hundreds, if not thousands of times greater. I think it's best not to play with powerful hormones. Again, are you treating the symptoms or the actual cause? So, with that here, melatonin and light. We've all known this for a long time, the seasonal affective disorder. We see that many times in the wintertime. People don't get the light necessary, higher melatonin levels. We treat that with light. People have some light shifting here too. Basically, they will sit in front of a light board. It reduces the melatonin, increases some of that serotonin, basically, and they get out of their funk. Okay? Light's effect on sleep and health. Think about this, not just light, but what type of light and how much light. And how dark is your bedroom? There's one study that talked about, and from Britain, that talked about if you can see your hand in front of your face at night, your bedroom is too bright. Okay? Also think about your phone. What color is the LED display on your clock as well? I make sure that all my clocks and LEDs are red because the red light does not interfere with melatonin production. The blue light does. Okay? Of course, this is the fall risk too as well. If it's too dark, well, I definitely recommend some of my motion detected night lights, and I'll talk about them here too. These basically keep the room dark as dark, but the minute you even start getting out of bed, you'll trigger the lights on here too. So your habits, what are your habits, routines, your food, your exercises? How are all those things are you thinking about how they affect your sleep? I mean, think about if we actually put the same effort to sleep as we did with exercising. With exercising, you don't have a big meal before that, You don't actually do a lot of things. You actually dress and go and actually prepare to exercise. Well, and many times, if our habit of sleep is just flipping on the TV or flipping off the TV set, turn the light off, well, that's not really an unplugging. That's not a routine, okay? So if you value sleep, value it as part of a habit, part of your life then too. Food, a big full meal gives you gas. It's not going to help you sleep here too. And of course, exercising is before sleep is not good because it kind of ramps your body up here too. So, okay. This is the night lights I use. These are Mr. Beams, and I really like these Mr. Beams. These are battery powered. The batteries last well over a year, but choose wisely because Mr. Beams first came out with these very white, bright white, a lot of blue wavelengths in these type of LEDs here too. What I did, I went out and got a small repair kit for a lens car and put a little piece of red tape on there and I turned them in the red. However, I see now they're selling this sleep friendly amber color nightlight. This one would interfere with sleep. This one will not. This wavelength will decrease the production of melatonin. This one will not interfere with it. About the same price here too. And what I do for mine, is my hint, is on my bathroom light, if I get up in the middle of the night, I can flip that switch on and basically it is red or amber colored. Those colors do not interfere with sleep. If you flip on a very bright white light, it's basically telling your brain, oh, it's morning, time to get up. So yeah, so choose wisely when it comes to your lights at night, especially your night lights here too. Blue blocking glasses. These are right here. I use these blue blocking glasses. Now these are definitely an easy, quick adjustment you can do to your routine here too. And what it is, I get these from Amazon. These fit over regular glasses, and these are basically if you don't. We start wearing these things around 7 o'clock or when the sun starts dimming down out here too. And we can do everything we want to do, and after a while, you even forget to have them on there. But what is happening is that these glasses block all the blue wavelengths, which means your pineal gland is not reporting from your ganglion cells in your eyes saying it's still morning, don't produce melatonin. So you're starting to ramp up the melatonin as you normally naturally do wearing these glasses. These are, oh, I don't know, $7 to $8 a piece, something like that. And by the way, I really like driving with these things at night. They are much more comfortable driving at night. A lot of the, in fact, it's at the time I want to wear them anyway, of course. The only problem and downside is that on my car, the high beam indicator is blue, and sometimes I can't see that. So you got to be kind of careful with that as well. But they do a real nice job of suppressing the blue light. Now this is the design I use, and basically, if I put these things on, I could only see the orange or the red, and I wouldn't be able to see the blue. Some of my students have got some quote unquote blue blocking glasses, and they look at this design and they can still see the blue. So I'm not sure they're really blue blocking, but I went ahead and included this anyway. So if you need to get a pair of glasses, come back to this and look at this one. If you can't see the blue lines, well, those glasses are working good. So changes you can make on your phone, tablet, computer, all those things now have basically software built in that says, hey, what time of day do you want me to adjust your color so you don't interfere with your sleep? Now, there's also a program here, just F.Lux, which is a great one I use on my computers. However, this is Windows 10, and now the OS has this built in because these manufacturers and designers are realizing, oh, these are the problem, and so now they're building them into their systems here too. But if you have an older TV set, or sorry, older computer monitor, F.Lux, free program, it'll automatically adjust the color you should be having at night, not to interfere with melatonin. But again, there's other programs, Twilight, Lumens, Android Screen Filter, Blue Light Filter, all these things are basically built into your phone. So seek them out, but turn them on. The first step of changing any behavior is realizing something and then changing it. So well, here's your first step. You know it exists. Now go ahead and make it so. Children and light. I've attended a lot of conferences that basically you're always talking about, well, children and light, and what we should do, TV set versus reading. Well, a lot of individuals use a TV set as a routine, cartoons, whatever. Some of them read to them. I think that's even better, but sometimes they just can't get that done with everything else they're doing in the world here too. But if you do use a TV set as a nightly routine, you can adjust the TV set on the color. You can go into the setup and more warm, which means less blue, and actually better for sleeping. Or you can play it through a computer monitor with a F.Lux on there. All those type of things in too will block those blue wavelengths and not interfere with sleep. Even if you're reading a book and you choose a high Kelvin color, sunlight that's very bright, basically you're going to be interfering with that child's production of melatonin. Now, children are really susceptible with melatonin because they produce so much more. You get, geezery like me, a little bit older, you're going to find that you don't really produce that much. So try to save what you got. But children are really susceptible to lights at night then too. So, and again, what color are your night lights in your children's room? Get red, get amber, or orange type of thing. If you got bright white ones in here too, that's probably enough to interfere with their sleep. Okay? So, habits, everyone's domain. Unplugging, your routines before. Get your daytime sunlight. If you're outside, vitamin D, serotonin, you will never get vitamin D inside of a window, inside of a house, however, because actually to get vitamin D, you've got to get basically full sunlight. Eating, caffeine, bladder irritants. Like my patients in my incontinence program are getting up so much here too. Spicy foods, all those type of things that interfere with sleep. I'm not telling you anything new here. You know these things. Temperature. Try to keep your temperature of your bedroom as cool as possible. Basically, if it's too hot of a room, your body kind of decreases temperature anyway. And if your bedroom is too hot, that's going to interfere potentially with sleep. So, drugs. Okay, we're talking about this thing too. I know a lot of people take these drugs, and even though you can see amazing models getting up in the morning just with a great night's sleep and wow, I feel so good after taking my Ambien. Well, now they're seeing Ambien, it's been linked to sleep driving, sleep sex, sleep eating, increased risk of myocardial infarction, heart attack. Falls are 4 times more likely to fall if you're taking these things. And actually, even the Ambien, some of these drugs have actually decreased the dosage in the last few years just because they were so powerful. And we were seeing a lot of individuals in fatal car accidents with this in their system here too. So, and if that is not enough, now there's a strong link to dementia down here as well. So basically, we're seeing more and more of these. Hey, let's not take this drug because we are just treating the symptoms and not the problem. Okay. I think a lot of people probably come home at night. Oh, I got to get a good night's sleep. Take some medication, and if they get up in the middle of the night, they're still sort of, it's not really sleep, it's more like a sedation type of thing, and that's by the time you're tripping over the cat or whatever, and that's the falls. But so we're seeing a lot of increases in ER visits in the past 5 years because these sleeping pills here too. But again, think about what else you can do here. It says here in the survey, 54% of Americans check their phone while they're in bed. 75% of young people fall asleep with their phone within reach here too. So anyway, I think the following here too, and this is the British medical study here too. I think a lot of those people were just getting up in the middle of the night and they're still sort of sedated, and next thing you know, they're falling and tripping. There is some research talking about well, basically weakness in bones, but that hasn't really been linked very strong yet. So here too. So sleep hygiene. That's what we should practice. Sleep hygiene. Practice good heaps. Value it. That's the thing. Maintain a regular sleep-wake cycle, even on weekends and vacations. Okay. Avoid napping after 3 p.m. I see this in the hospital all the time. Patients would nap 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon and then be awake at night then too. But of course, hospitals are very bright places and a lot of things going on here too. So, but that's just establish a regular, relaxing bedtime routine. That's the unplugging. That's the turning off the phone, the computer type of thing here too. Um, Winding down. So, okay. These are just good guidelines. Exercise regularly, not within 2 hours. Remember, they help with serotonin. And that's actually the precursor, as I talked about, the melatonin. Eating large meals just before going to bed, you know that. Caffeinated beverages, alcohol might put you to sleep, but it won't keep you asleep very well. And of course, sunlight in the day. That's serotonin again here too. So noise, traffic. I know a lot of people, a couple of my friends actually use the TV as a replacement for white noise. Well, with the TV, you also get the bright light. If you get the bright light, well, there's your interference with melatonin here too. So when I travel, I use earplugs, some really soft ones, and boy, I don't even know they're in, and I can't even hear the AC system cycling in the same room. So that's a good thing here too. I know of white noise machines that work really well here too to mask it and too. But if noise is a problem, there are things you can do besides just leaving the TV set on all night here too. So obstructive sleep apnea, I'm just going to talk about that briefly. Like I said, I've actually had some clients of mine that had a stroke just because they had sleep apnea. So if your partner is stopping sleeping for more than 20 20 seconds or so, and then kind of wake up, well, that's a red flag here too. Um, there's more information here about why sleep lack of sleep results in a stroke then too. So just more FYI here too. So you can stop that and read that if you want here too. So too much light at night. This is actually has to do with some of the reference articles I have in this little presentation here too. Um, be careful how much light you can see. Remember that guideline. If you can see your hand at night, it's too bright. Risk of falls, community dwelling melon, okay. Sleep disturbances here too. Basically, if you don't sleep well, you fall more. From 65 and older, 30% of us fall once a year anyway. So let's decrease these falls as much as possible here too. Don't know what the cost of a total hip arthroplasty is anymore, but it's probably around $10,000 here too. So interesting study here too. Exposure to room light before bedtime suppresses melatonin, shorten melatonin duration in humans. So we're already messing with our hormones with a light exposure here too. So, but I put these up here basically just for references. And I would strongly encourage you to just do some good Google searching and some good on the reference places is too. So more resources right here, how to sleep better. So anyway, I just hope this helps. Like I said, this kept popping up several different times since I've retired. I figured, hey, I got some time to do this now. So I'm going to post this. If you like it, great. If not, outrageous. So whatever, email me back. And we'll continue the conversation then. So anyway, value sleep.